It's a classic moment. You finish a book chapter, or a podcast episode, or a training, or a Slack thread full of updates, close it out, feel pretty good about yourself, and then someone asks you what you just read. Nothing. Total blank. Like your brain opened a window, let the information drift in, and then drift straight back out. There's a thing called the forgetting curve. It's exactly as grim as it sounds. We lose up to 70% of new information within 24 hours. One day. Gone. And this isn't just a school problem. It's why that leadership course you took 3 months ago has basically evaporated. Why you take notes in a meeting and then never look at them again and somehow lose the thread anyway. Why your Kindle highlights are a graveyard of good intentions. But this isn't a memory problem. Your brain isn't broken, it's a process problem, and that's actually good news, because processes can be fixed. So, we're going through 4 shifts that change how information actually sticks. No complicated systems, no color-coded binders. Think of it as finally closing the window. Shift 1. Stop reading more. Start digesting more. Most people's instinct when they want to learn more is to read more. More pages, more books, more tabs open. Speed reading courses exist entirely because of this instinct. More input should mean more output, right? Wrong. Think about eating. If you inhale a massive meal and immediately sit down for another one, you don't feel twice as nourished. You feel like you need to lie down and reconsider your life choices. Reading works the same way. You can consume content for 3 hours straight and retain almost none of it because your brain never got a chance to process what came in. I used to highlight everything. Every page had 5 colors going. My books looked like a neon coloring book someone left in the rain. And at the end of a study session, I could tell you exactly how many pages I'd covered. I could not tell you a single thing that was on them. Learning actually happens in 2 stages, consuming and digesting. Reading gets information into your head. Digestion is what makes it stay. Most people do stage 1 constantly and stage 2 almost never, which is why the forgetting curve hits so hard. The practical version, for every 20 to 30 minutes of reading, stop, close the book. Ask yourself what you actually remember. Jot down the main idea in your own words. That short pause is where learning actually locks in. Without it, you're just moving your eyes across a page. Consuming without digesting isn't studying, it's just reading. And reading without retention is the most productive feeling way to accomplish absolutely nothing. Shift 2. Sort what you're reading into 3 buckets. Once you're pausing to digest, here's where most people still go wrong. They try to process everything the same way. Reread it, highlight it, maybe write it down once. Same method for every type of information. Most of us treat a recipe the same way we treat a history textbook. That's the problem. Your brain doesn't encode all information the same way. The method that works for one type is often completely useless for another. The fix is to do a quick rough sort before you review. 3 buckets, that's it. Bucket 1, skills. Anything that tells you how to do something. A technique, a process, a workflow. A new feature in your project management tool, a negotiation technique, a framework for running better meetings. If it's a skill, the only review that actually works is practice. Not rereading it, not highlighting it again, doing it. You can read about swimming for a year and still sink. Skills need reps, not notes. Bucket 2, concepts, ideas, frameworks, theories, the why behind things. Think. A mental model from a business book, a framework like GTD or the Eisenhower Matrix. For these, the best move is to sketch a quick map or diagram that connects the ideas together. Doesn't need to be pretty, just a rough web of how things relate. Your brain stores concepts as networks, not lists. Review them that way, and the connections rebuild themselves. Bucket 3, facts. Dates, names, stats, specific figures. Industry statistics, a colleague's deadline, a client's budget figure. Facts don't need a diagram or a practice session. They need a flashcard. Just dump them into a flashcard app and move on. Trying to memorize them on the spot while you're reading is one of the biggest time drains in studying, and it doesn't work. You don't need a perfect sorting system. You just need a rough instinct. Is this something I do, something I understand, or something I need to recall? That one question changes everything about how you review, because once you know what kind of information you're dealing with, the right method is obvious, and the wrong one stops wasting your time. Shift 3. Review at the right time, not just when you remember. Sorting your information into buckets only works if you go back to review it. Here's where most people fall apart. They finish reading, or watching, or listening, feel the quiet satisfaction of having done something productive, and think, I'll review this later. Later becomes never. The material sits in a notebook that gets buried under 3 other notebooks, and by the time you actually need it, it's gone. The problem isn't laziness. It's that later has no structure. Your brain doesn't prioritize information just because you read it once. It prioritizes what you return to. So, the timing of your review matters, more than the review itself. This is where spaced repetition comes in. And yes, the name sounds like something from a neuroscience textbook. The concept doesn't. Instead of cramming everything the night before you need it, you review at increasing intervals. Day 1 after you learn something, day 3, day 7. Each time you come back to it, the memory gets a little stronger, a little more locked in. You're not doing more work. You're just doing it at the right moments. There's biology behind this. When you sleep, your hippocampus replays the things you encountered most recently and moves them into long-term storage. Think of it like hitting save before you close a document. If you close without saving, the file is gone. A quick review before bed signals your brain this one's worth keeping. Then it does the heavy lifting overnight while you're doing nothing. You don't need to reread the whole chapter. You just need to remind your brain it exists. The practical version. 10 minutes of active review at the right time will outperform an hour of rereading every single time. Run through your concept map for 2 minutes. Hit your flashcards once. Try to recall the key skill from memory before looking it up. That's it. Short, timed, and intentional. The gap between each review is what makes it stick, not how long you sit there, which is the opposite of how most people study. Shift 4. Build a 10-minute retention window into your day. This last shift ties everything together, and it's the only one you can start in the next 5 minutes. Block 10 minutes at the end of your reading session or before you go to bed. That's your retention window. Not a study session, not a cram session. Just a quiet closing loop on whatever you took in that day. There's a Japanese concept called ma. It roughly translates to intentional pause, the space between things where meaning settles. That's what this window is. You're not adding more input. You're letting what you already took in land. Flip through your notes. Redraw one concept connection. Run your flashcards once. Practice one thing you flagged as a skill. It takes less time than a TikTok rabbit hole. And unlike the rabbit hole, you'll remember it tomorrow. 10 minutes a day, done consistently, builds more durable retention than a 2-hour review session bolted onto the end of the week. Consistency beats intensity every time. This isn't about being a better student. It's about actually using what you take in your work, your decisions, your projects. We started this video with a window, the one your brain keeps leaving open, letting everything drift back out. This is how you close it. 10 minutes, every day. Your memory was never the problem. You were just skipping the digestion step, reviewing at the wrong time, and treating every type of information the same way. Fix the process, and the retention follows. Pick one shift and try it tomorrow. Drop a comment telling me which one. If this is the kind of content you want more of, my last video is a good next watch. It's called "This Productivity System Works Even on Your Worst Days," and it tackles the other side of this. What happens when you know the system, but life gets in the way? Link's right there. And if you want a new practical system every week, subscribe. That's exactly what this channel is.